Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a seriously profound, ancient philosophical framework that completely redefines our relationship with work, results, and how we manage stress. If you've ever felt completely exhausted or trapped by the endless treadmill of chasing outcomes, well, the text we're looking at today offers a radical, paradigm-shifting solution. Let's get right into it.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The mandate of detached duty, 2. Defining action and inaction, 3. The subdivisions of duty, 4. The trap of attachment, and finally 5. Arjuna and the auspicious path.
Section 1. The mandate of detached duty.
Okay, so we're starting with a mind-bending paradox that absolutely flips modern hustle culture on its head. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 47, establishes this ultimate rule. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of that action. It completely severs the action from the expectation of the reward, and it adds 2 massive caveats here. Do not think you're the cause of the results, and whatever you do not use this as an excuse to just stop working.
What's super fascinating here is the specific Sanskrit root used for this concept, karma-phala. Karma basically relates to action, right? And phala relates to the fruit or the result. The text emphasizes that we must never become the cause of the karma-phala, the result of the work we do. Because the exact moment we act purely for the result, we tangle ourselves in this invisible web of cause and effect that we were literally never meant to carry.
Section 2. Defining action and inaction. To really grasp how to apply this mandate, we have to define what work actually is. Because, let's face it, not all action is created equal. The source text specifically breaks all human effort down into 3 distinct buckets. Everything you do or don't do falls perfectly into one of these: prescribed duties, capricious work, or inaction.
And this perfectly illustrates the critical difference between those first 2. Prescribed duties are the activities that actually align with your natural skills and your specific position in life. They're authorized and properly structured. On the flip side, capricious work is just driven by whim. It completely lacks authority or any higher alignment. So only prescribed duties are the proper channel for our daily energy. We also really need to reevaluate our definition of inaction here. Inaction isn't just taking a nap on the couch or going on vacation. It is specifically defined as the explicit failure to perform those very prescribed duties we were just talking about. It's the active neglect of what you are meant to be doing. Section 3. The subdivisions of duty. Now, every single prescribed duty you have fits neatly into one of these 3 subdivisions: your daily routine work, emergency work that suddenly pops up, or your desired activities. But remember, the context of how we actually perform these is what matters most. So the real kicker is the stark contrast in outcomes. Doing your routine life obligations without craving the result, the karma-phala, is literally a path to liberation. Conversely, performing that exact same work, but with a burning desire for the results, instantly turns it into a cause of bondage. Think about that. The action might look completely identical from the outside, but your internal motivation totally dictates whether it frees you or chains you down. Section 4. The trap of attachment.
This brings us to a hidden psychological trap that catches pretty much everyone. If you get attached to the outcome, you inherently trap yourself into being the cause of the action. And because you've claimed ownership of the cause, well, universal law dictates you now have to claim ownership of the effect. This forces you to endlessly suffer or enjoy those temporary results. It's basically the ultimate emotional roller coaster, except you've willingly strapped yourself in and handed the steering wheel over to external factors you literally cannot control.
Now, this brings up a super fascinating counterpoint from the text. It's a very logical loophole that our brains immediately try to jump through. If acting for results causes bondage and being attached to outcomes makes me suffer, well, why not just do nothing? Why not just totally check out?
Yeah, the commentary shuts down that loophole immediately. It points out that avoiding your duty, which, by the way, was the warrior Arjuna's initial instinct in the overarching narrative, is actually just a form of negative attachment. You're still attached. You're just attached to avoidance. And negative attachment never, ever leads to salvation. Inaction, defined earlier as the failure to perform your duty, is flatly declared to be sinful. So the trap is beautifully, terrifyingly symmetric. Positive attachment, where you're obsessively desiring the fruits of your work, causes bondage. Negative attachment, where you choose inaction or non-participation out of fear or frustration, also causes bondage. Any attachment at all, positive or negative, acts like a heavy anchor keeping you completely stuck.
Section 5. Arjuna and the auspicious path.
Faced with the horrifying reality of his own duty, Arjuna wanted to retreat into inaction. So how did the Lord advise Arjuna to actually navigate this overwhelming battlefield of duty without falling into either the trap of positive attachment to victory or the trap of negative attachment to avoidance? What does this actually look like in practice?
The answer given is incredibly direct. Arjuna was advised to participate in the battle strictly as a matter of prescribed duty. He literally had to pick up his weapons and fight, but he had to do so by dropping absolutely all attachment to the victory or the defeat. Doing the work purely because it was his duty to do it and for absolutely no other reason was declared the only auspicious path of salvation available to him. The source concludes by emphasizing that these disinterested, obligatory duties, acting purely because it's the right and prescribed thing to do, not because of what you're going to get out of it, doubtlessly lead one to the path of liberation. The only proprietary right you have is to the action itself. When you act with complete disinterest in the fruit, you actually master the material world rather than letting it master you.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to really reflect on moving forward. Look at your own life, your daily pursuits and your own unique stresses. When you wake up and go to work, are you trapped in positive attachment, acting solely for the result? Are you tempted by negative attachment, secretly wanting to retreat into inaction? Or can you find that liberating middle path, dedicating yourself fully to the action itself, simply because it is your duty? Thanks so much for exploring this fascinating framework with me today.